In this module on circles and its properties, we are going to talk about variety of principles and fundamentals related to circles. But in this specific tutorial, we are going to cover the basic terminology related to circles, okay? So what we are going to do is that let's create a circle. And we say that to create a circle, you basically need two specific pieces of information. One is that you need a center, a precise location on a two-dimensional plane, and then you need what is the radius of the circle that you're trying to create, okay? And a radius is the distance from the center to any point on the circumference of a circle, correct? And since we had talked about the word circumference, we will say that circumference is a boundary around the center such that if you take any point on this boundary, it will be at equal distance from the center, okay? So if you mark 3 random points on this boundary, and if you try to measure the distance of these points on the boundary from the center, you will find that all of them are at equal distance, okay? And this is exactly called the radius of a circle, all right? So this is very basic information about a circle, okay? So now let us talk about another terminology, and that is defining what is known as the chord in a circle, okay? So if you take any 2 points, any random points on the circumference of a circle, and if you try to connect these 2 points via the shortest possible distance, then what you obtain is called a chord, okay? So this line that you see here, the line that is connecting the points P and Q on the boundary of this circle, this line segment is called a chord. So now you would notice that this chord, it basically divides this circle into 2 different parts, right? One part is visibly bigger than the other part, right? So let me highlight the smaller part in the yellow shaded region here, okay? Both of these sections that you obtain as a result of division by a chord are called the segments, right? So we have one segment that is above the chord, and then we have another segment that is below the chord, right? But the section or the segment, the one which is bigger than the other one, is called a major segment, right? And likewise, the section or the segment that is smaller in size as compared to the other one will be called a minor segment. Just as the way it sounds, major and minor. Major means bigger than the other one. So this is about a chord, and this is about the segments that you obtain as a result of a chord, okay? There is one more thing I would like to discuss, that let's say this is my center of this circle. And if I want to obtain a chord such that it passes through the center of this circle and it connects the 2 points, let's say those 2 points are A and B, they are on the circumference, but this specific chord is passing through the center of this circle, then such a chord is called a diameter. So of course, by the way of this knowledge, you can say that a diameter will be the longest chord you can obtain in a circle. So at this moment, I would like you to think a little bit more about the chord and the circle. Now you have understood the definition of a chord, right? My question to you is, can you tell me how many chords a circle can have? I'll give you a hint. A circle has a boundary, right? A boundary that doesn't have any beginning or it doesn't have any end, right? It is one continuous line that has no breaks, that has no sides. Keeping that in thought, think about how many chords a circle could have. So while you are thinking about that, let us proceed on to our next terminology, and that is about understanding what is an arc, okay? So if I draw one more circle and I say that the center of this circle is right here, okay? As usual, I'll say that this center is O, all right? So as usual, if I mark any 2 points, let's say point P and Q on the boundary of this circle. Now I want to connect these 2 points via a distance. That distance is by traveling on the boundary of this circle, all right? It is not the shortest possible distance, but it is by connecting these 2 points P and Q by traveling on the boundary of this circle, okay? Then such a line segment that you are obtaining, or such a curve that you are obtaining, it is called an arc, okay? So this is an arc. Now you would wonder that why did I choose to connect these 2 points P and Q by traveling along the shorter side of the boundary, right? I could have connected these 2 points by going along the longer route, right? Like this. And I could have still connected these 2 points. We could have done it and it would still have been called an arc, right? The only difference is this would have the one that you obtain by traveling on the longer side of the boundary as highlighted in the blue color, right? This boundary or this arc would have been called the major arc. Just the way you have a major segment and minor segment, I would use the same terminology. The arc which is longer than the other one would be called a major arc. And of course, the arc which is smaller inside would have been called a minor arc. Now, one more thing I would like to point that. What if you connect these 2 points, the point P and point Q, to the center of this circle? Okay, so what you obtain is now 2 different sections. Okay, so the section of this circle by the green highlighted area that I'm putting in this shading now is called a minor sector. Okay, because it belongs to the minor arc, hence it will be called as a minor sector. So this area is called sector, and just because it is smaller in size compared to the other, which is on the longer side of the arc, this area is called the minor sector. And the area which is of course in the blue shading area is called a major sector. So basically what we have covered so far, we have covered is the basic definition of a circle. We know about the circumference, the center and the radius, right? Then we talked about the chord, and then we also talked about the segments that you obtain as a result of a chord. Okay. Then we also talked about the arc. We obtained the definition of major and minor arc and major and minor sector that you obtain as a result of an arc. So with that, we will take a pause here, and in our next tutorial, we will learn more about the properties. We will also talk about various theorems of circle.